There are some instances where I really did wonder if I should still be here in terms of like the work that I was doing. I'm praying to God, why am I here? Like, what's supposed to be my next step? And then I remember that, sometimes you have to go through the fire in order for refinement to happen.
Hi, Wilma. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. So I just returned from a conference about creative placemaking, and it's fitting that we're having this conversation today because
That's
you
awesome.
have you've been working for years on your own creative placemaking in a small area of Ohio. Tell me, what challenges do you face?
So, to give some context in terms of the makeup of Tuscarawas County, that plays into some of the challenges. So the total population in Tuscarawas County alone is 92,000 people, and it's spread out across the whole county. I know that one of the challenges was like it is funding. So, in terms that we have, I would say over the last 10, 15 years, there's been an amazing growth of our arts presence here. So there are more arts initiatives, public art, organizations are growing, new organizations are starting, and they want to specifically serve their communities or audiences and whatever they have. But sometimes the funding isn't growing at all. So you have an increased demand for more grants to be available, or a need for reaching out to like certain donors, but then you come across donor fatigue and also just the limited resources in terms of how many grants reach our area. And also, if you look at Tuscarawas County on the map, it's kind of weird because we are in a kind of a unique pocket because we are the foothills of Appalachia. But if you were to look at us, there's a question of, are we Northeast Ohio or East Central Ohio? Which unfortunately that identity in place right there kind of leaves us missing out on some grant opportunities, because we may reach out for grant programs that serve Northeast Ohio, but they consider us East Central Ohio, or vice versa. So there's a little bit of a like trying to figure out like where we fit in terms of our geographic location, because unfortunately it does play a role in us being outside of some funding zones. However, even though there's there's stuff like that, I would say one advantage in terms of like us, especially with all of us working so closely together, all of us are, you have agriculture and manufacturing and small businesses, is we're really great at working together. And we can take resources and try to stretch those resources as much as possible and be as resourceful as possible to make something happen.
So when you say we, are you talking about we, the community?
Mm-hmm.
And you're collaborating across industries, not we as in just the arts.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is like where arts are taking some of those resources, and I mean, we learn how to make those resources stretch out. So, like if there's a project that we're working on, but we end up being short on like some funding, then we find a creative way to still make quality programming happen without that additional resource to make it the way that we envision. There has been so many collaborations and overlap across industries as well. And that's something that's been really great, because we do have businesses and we have like foundations and individuals where they are really generous and really wonderful to work with, and they have helped make a difference in terms of being able to fill in the gaps that we need to be able to produce some quality programming and materials for arts and culture in our area. And it's been really great seeing people just kind of like pitch in and work together on that, whether we need to stretch resources or not. But I'd say the great thing is, whenever it comes to community, we have the people there that are able to make it happen. And I think that's something that's really something that we should always take credit for, is that we have the people behind it that will step in and help and make something happen.
So I want to highlight something that you said, because I think it's often overlooked, but you made the point, and you said it twice, that you know how to stretch resources and you know how to get things done in spite of perhaps coming short on some of the funding. I think there's a perception that when you think of the arts or artists or creatives, that they're not very business savvy, or there's this idea that, oh, they're just going to waste money, throw money away. But more and more, I see artists, creatives, the sector as really innovative in how they apply that funding.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this idea of, can you trust an artist or an arts organization with the funding that you're giving them? And I think if we would kind of look behind the curtain, we might really see how creative they are, oftentimes perhaps more than other industries that may not be as efficient with their funding.
Yeah, there was a quote that I heard where it's like, we know, even I'm trying to remember, even with without all the resources, we know how to be resourceful. I think one thing that people tend to forget is that an artist, they use both sides of their brain, and especially the right side of their brain. So the right side of the brain is where creative problem solving happens. So it's not just like the ability to perform on stage or to come up with choreography on the spot or to look at a blank canvas and know what you're going to paint. The right side of the brain is your creative problem solving side as well. So we know how to take, like speaking for myself as an artist and knowing other artists as well, we know how to look at what we have and say, well, this is what we can actually do with this. And that's the same principle that's applied in businesses. So like if you look at entrepreneurs, they're very right-brained as well. They use their creative problem solving to look at where there's a gap somewhere and say, well, we can try to fill this gap and maybe utilize resources where we can, stretch things where they need to be in order to like fill in that gap. So that's something that I think sometimes people like overlook, is that as artists and creatives, we are very good at using our right side of our brain, and that we can look at opportunities, even if there are gaps in place. And because it doesn't do us any good to say like, we don't have the money for this, we can't do it. You can if you think very outside the box sometimes whenever you look at areas where there's gaps.
Have you taken that mindset and talked to a stakeholder and said, okay, this is how much we received. We were hoping for X. We didn't get that, but this is what we were able to do with the funding that we received. This is how it benefited community. Mm-hmm. And if we just had more of that, an investment, we could impact that much more. Are those conversations that you have?
Probably the most common program where that happens is Art on the Alley. So it's an arts festival that we put on twice a year. And for the first few years, it didn't make money or anything. Not that's the business of like making money, but it's that we had a budget for how we were going to initiate Art on the Alley, but we may end up being about like $1,000 short on sponsorships that we raised or something. So we have to like almost rethink like, where else can we utilize resources that we didn't realize that we had, or can we find some place where we could like maybe cut funds someplace? So, or can we maybe think more creatively in the future in terms of like where the sponsorship dollars go? So the first like couple of years, we were always like asking that kind of question. And then we finally got into a stride where we were actually meeting our sponsorship goals and even exceeding a little bit more. So we were able to like take those funds and be able to utilize it in the most lively way that we could to be able to provide quality programs that's free for our community. This year, with our just knowing the time frame of everything, like when we normally receive all of our sponsorship dollars and what we anticipate for the budgets because of inflation the last couple of years, and because of some people not being able to sponsor right now because of cuts that they've had to make for their business with those sponsorship or marketing dollars, we're looking at this year having to kind of navigate that as well, where we might not quite get as much in sponsorship funding as we need to, but we're still going to do what we can to see where we can navigate those funds to be able to still produce quality works, whether it's maybe doing a different collaboration where we can maybe bring in some like additional like free like working with nonprofits, so like free programs that they can offer in their community with the community present.
Are you lacking attention from public officials?
I would say not now. We actually have great relationship with some of our public officials now. Like I do want to give credit to Representative Jody Salvo that represents our district. She is someone that has firsthand, like being as involved in New Philadelphia, Tuscarawas County as she has seen the benefit of the arts in our communities and is a champion for that. And for her, she sees where the arts also play a role in helping people going through like mental health, and also if people are going through rehab and they needed some sort of creative outlet, then they can really tap into like maybe playing guitars or percussion with drums, or painting, writing, anything like that, just to be able to help process their journey from addiction. So it's really great to have public officials that have witnessed firsthand the effects of arts and culture that has made an impact in our communities, and especially in our setting with it being rural and small town. And I think that's one of the benefits of kind of our area, is that, everyone knows everybody and they know like what you're doing, but they also are there willing to say like, how can I help, or being able to share like your events and all that stuff. So it's really great being able to be a part of that in the community.
So you had mentioned when I first asked, you said not now, meaning you're getting that attention now. What role did the organization play, or how did you shift that narrative so there's that deeper understanding between what you do and legislative leaders or any public official in your community?
Sometimes you need to find the right people to walk alongside with you. And that is something that I had to learn the hard way too, is making sure that you surround yourself with the right people that have that common vision with you, and that no one is above the other, and that everyone is walking the same street and they're all walking towards the same goal. So having those people alongside you makes a big difference. And again, I've had my share where I've had individuals that were part of my journey that for selfish reasons, or it just seemed like that they were more of like they waited behind and stuff instead of like walking forward. So being able to distinguish that is really big, but sometimes you do the work and you're going forward and putting this all together. It gets the attention of people and they start to see it build and build and build, because like for me, it was really important for me to do that just so that I can look at the forward motion for the potential of our organization or the projects or programs that we're serving. Because I know in the end, it is serving the greater good, which is providing unique opportunities for our community and even a way to connect artists that maybe have never connected in a way before. Put your head down and do your work, keep moving forward, and then there will be people that will catch that you got their attention and are curious about it, and you get to invite them to also be a part of it as well.
What advice do you have to someone to keep at it and put your head down and get through?
Oh goodness. I will tell you what, there are some instances where I really did wonder if I should still be here in terms of like the work that I was doing. I'm praying to God, why am I here? Like, what's supposed to be my next step? And then I remember that, sometimes you have to go through the fire in order for refinement to happen. So, and it's not fun going through that alone. Like, it's important to have those people around you that will support you and help you through it. I have a therapist that I talk to help me process those very like big and real emotions and overwhelming thoughts that I come across, because sometimes I do get extremely anxious about these things. I've had to learn to also make sure that there's separation of that. You need to make sure you have the professional circles that you can work with, but then also your personal circles as well, because certainly the perseverance did not come from my own strength at all. My goal was just like, I would tell myself, just keep your head down and go forward. But it's not of my own strength. It's like that was a lot of God and that was a lot of community. Both coexisted at the same time to help me through those situations.
I'm sure you being this open and transparent will help a lot of people, because I know you're not alone in that. And as you're talking about that, there are flashes of times that I've faced that as well. So I think just being open is really helpful to a lot of people. And I imagine it's that tightrope, right, of the people that you're trying to serve, seeing the good that they can do, but they're the most overlooked individuals oftentimes in community, right?
Yeah. And it's sad because these people are amazing. This is what it means to a creative community that supports each other and one another. And this is exactly what I want to do with my role, is that I'd rather provide the stage, so to say, or a platform or whatever, and take the back seat and allow people to interact and mingle and create and be able to do that, because there's so much connection that happens, and that's the kind of community that you want. And especially that's something we value in our area. People want a place to belong, and that is the arts. We're welcoming for people of all walks of life. And you also see the transformative power of what the arts can do in your communities through that.
So being that openness and welcoming, have you faced any new challenges or a different path that you might have to take given the current structure of DEI and how we're looking at words and missions or on web pages? Or are any of the organizations that you serve worried about?
I think the thing with us is that we've always been DEI without saying it, because in the end, it is about how you treat other people. And it is about where your heart is in all this too. And I think for us, it's like that part hasn't changed for us. It makes us more aware and conscious of the needs of our community. Like certainly like in this time right now, I'm also a swim coach in my area. So we actually had a student that is from the Latino community where we didn't see him at practice for a couple of days because his family was afraid of everything that was happening. So it makes you definitely very aware of what's going on in the world right now. But then you can also have your heart still open to be able to surround them in the love and intention that they need at that time and meet them where they're at with empathy and walk with them and still have that environment where you don't change in that matter. I mean, maybe the external messaging has to be adjusted at that time, but at the same time too, your mission should never shift from where you're supposed to put your heart at. And that's really what I see there.
So you're celebrating the 10th anniversary. What do you have on the plate for the next 3 to 5 years? Have you gone down that far?
Oh my
Or
goodness.
let's just say the next year.
Oh my goodness. Gosh. So our campaign theme is Arts Yet to Be Imagined. Like what I know for sure is that we want to be open to new possibilities and opportunities for arts and culture serving in Tuscarawas County. And you know what? We may not have all the ideas, and that's okay. We want to make sure that there's certainly an environment where an artist steps in and says, hey, I want to do this in this community, partnering with this organization. We want to be there, say, great, let's work with you to help make it happen. Whether maybe they want to apply to a grant for us, or if they want to say, hey, how do you run art on the alley? Can you give me some tips? Yes, let me show you my blueprint and how I do that and walk with you on how to plan an arts festival. That's certainly something that I at least foresee in the next 1 to 5 years with that, is that we want to be able to see more growth and opportunities for everyone else around us. Organizationally, like internally for us, is we want to continue to keep our heads clear and pressing forward, being able to advocate even more so on behalf of Tuscarawas County's arts and culture community to continue to uplift the community so that people can see like the amazing things that we do have here in our region and being able to share that as well.
What you just explained is something that goes beyond what I would say traditional arts council's function, which is funding and giving out grants. But what I'm hearing you say is that you do that, but you also are looking to say, what are your needs, whether it's an individual or an organization, and how can we help be that facilitator to help you get there? And it's not only a check.
Yeah, it's the connection as well. And I think that's part of the thing that I see with other artists is that they connect with each other. And we certainly should be an organization that connects with our community as well. We're not in the world of like hoarding information. Like, I want to see you succeed, because if you succeed, we all succeed. So that's really where we're at with our organization and being able to really help shift things in that direction. So that, again, going back to like, even if we don't have all the resources in the world to help us make everything come to life even more so, we'll be able to find people to connect them with each other, and hopefully they can produce the excellence and what they wanted to bring to everyone.
That's really great. So we are at the time of the conversation where I like to ask everyone the same question. So if you've listened, you're familiar with what's coming. How do you define art?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I tried giving myself some time to think about this, but it's hard. I would define art as everybody and every ability. So I think for our area especially, you could be a professional artist, that is your main way of life. And I know so many talented professional artists where they create and create and create and create, and it's just so inspiring. But I also know artists that have a 9 to 5, and then they're trying to also still pursue their art on the side, or maybe they can only have a season where they can create. I hope that people know that art isn't just something stagnant or that it is one-dimensional. It is so much more than that. It is a way that for people, it's connection. And it is also a way to really tap into a side of our soul and spirits that we may not get from anything else around us. And I don't know, that's probably like several things I see that's art, but that's really just how it is. And that's what I've witnessed myself. And that's what I believe in myself.
Well, Wilma, I have witnessed you walk the walk and talk the talk. And I just want to say your community is so fortunate to have you moving forward and pushing through. So thank you for that. And thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here today.